You've probably experienced this at some point. Someone hurts you, crosses a line, says something they shouldn't have, and then just moves on like nothing happened. No apology, no acknowledgement, nothing. And what makes it even more confusing is that they don't even look guilty. They talk normally, behave normally, and you're left sitting there thinking, did they really not realize what they did? Or do they just not care? That moment creates a strange kind of frustration, because you're not even asking for something big. You're not asking them to fix everything. You just want a simple sorry, something that tells you they see what happened, something that makes you feel like your emotions matter. But when that doesn't come, your mind starts going in circles. You question yourself, you replay the situation, you try to figure out if you misunderstood something. And slowly, it stops being about the incident and starts becoming about your own self-doubt. So the real question is, why do some people find it so hard to apologize, even when it's clearly needed? The first thing to understand is that for some people, apologizing does not feel like a small action. For you, saying sorry might feel normal, almost automatic. You recognize a mistake, you acknowledge it, and you move on. But for someone else, that same act can feel very uncomfortable, because in their mind, saying "I was wrong" is not just about the situation. It feels like they are saying, "I am wrong as a person," and that difference matters a lot. When someone connects their actions with their identity like that, even a small mistake starts to feel heavy. It feels like a threat to how they see themselves. So instead of dealing with that discomfort, they avoid it. Not apologizing becomes a way to protect their self-image. It's not always conscious. It's not something they sit and plan. It's just how their mind reacts. Another important reason is emotional awareness. Apologizing requires you to step outside your own perspective and see how your actions affected someone else. That sounds simple, but it's actually a skill. And not everyone develops that skill properly. Some people grow up in environments where emotions are not talked about, where no one explains feelings, no one names them, no one validates them. So they grow up focusing only on facts and actions, not emotional impact. If you tell them, "That hurt me," they might genuinely not understand what that means on a deeper level. They might think, "I didn't intend to hurt you, so what's the problem?" And in their mind, that explanation feels enough. But for you, it doesn't. Because you're not just looking at intention, you're looking at impact. Then there are people who react defensively the moment you bring something up. You say something calmly, but they immediately start explaining themselves. They interrupt, they justify, they argue, and suddenly the whole conversation turns into a debate. This happens because their brain reads your feedback as criticism, and criticism feels like a personal attack. So instead of listening, they prepare to defend. They're not focused on understanding you, they're focused on proving that they are not wrong. That's why you'll notice they bring up details that don't really matter, or they shift the topic slightly, or they try to show that their intention was good. In their mind, if they can prove their intention, they don't need to apologize. But from your side, it feels like they're completely missing the point. Some people don't argue at all. They go silent. They avoid the conversation, change the topic, or give very short responses that don't really address anything. This can feel even more frustrating because you don't even get a reaction. But for them, silence is not about disrespect. It's about discomfort. They don't know how to handle emotional situations, so they shut down. They hope the issue will pass on its own. And sometimes it does, which reinforces their behavior. They learn that if they stay quiet long enough, things settle down. So they continue doing the same thing. Not apologizing becomes their way of escaping tension. Then there's another pattern where instead of avoiding or defending, the person shifts the blame. You try to express how you feel, and somehow the conversation turns back to you. They say things like, "You're overreacting," or "You always take things the wrong way," or "If you hadn't said that, I wouldn't have responded like this." And now you're not just hurt, you're also confused. Because instead of being heard, you're being questioned. This doesn't always come from a place of manipulation, although sometimes it can. Often it's just another way of avoiding guilt. If they can convince themselves that the problem is actually you, they don't have to deal with their own mistake. There are also people who simply don't notice. They don't pick up on emotional signals, they don't read tone or expressions very well, and they miss subtle cues. So in their mind, everything is fine. They don't realize that something they said came across as harsh, or that their behavior created distance. This lack of awareness makes it difficult for them to apologize because they don't even see a reason to. And when you bring it up, it feels unexpected to them. They might genuinely think, "I didn't do anything." That doesn't mean your feelings are invalid, it just means their perception is limited. A big factor behind all of this is discomfort with guilt. Guilt is not an easy emotion. It requires you to pause, reflect, and accept that you caused some kind of harm. For people who are not used to processing emotions, this can feel overwhelming. So their brain tries to reduce that feeling as quickly as possible. It does that by minimizing the situation, justifying their actions, or ignoring the issue completely. It's not about logic, it's about emotional comfort. Avoiding guilt feels easier than facing it. Ego also plays a role, but not in the way people usually think. It's not always about being overly confident or proud. Sometimes it's the opposite. It's fragile. It cannot handle being wrong, because being wrong feels like losing control or losing respect. So the person holds on to their version of the situation, even if it's incomplete or slightly distorted. Admitting fault feels risky, so they avoid it. From the outside, it looks like arrogance. But inside, it's often insecurity. A lot of this behavior is shaped in childhood. If someone grew up in an environment where mistakes were punished harshly, they learned to avoid admitting them. If saying sorry led to more blame or embarrassment, they associate apology with negative consequences. So they stop doing it. Even when they grow up and the environment changes, the pattern stays. Their brain still reacts the same way, even when it's no longer necessary. Another thing you might notice is that some people give what sounds like an apology, but it doesn't feel right. They say things like, "I'm sorry you felt that way," or "I didn't mean it," or "That's not what I intended." These statements sound polite, but they don't take responsibility. They shift the focus away from the action and onto your reaction. It reduces tension on the surface, but it doesn't fix anything. And that's why it leaves you feeling unsatisfied. When apologies are missing, it slowly affects the relationship. Because an apology is not just about words. It's about acknowledgement. It's about showing that you see the other person's experience. Without that, things stay unresolved. Small incidents build up over time, and even if you don't talk about them, they stay in the background. You start feeling distant, less open, less comfortable. And sometimes you don't even realize why. but it traces back to these small moments that were never addressed. The difficult part is that you cannot force someone to apologize. You can explain, you can express, you can give examples, but you cannot create awareness in someone who is not ready to see it. Change only happens when the person recognizes their own pattern. And that takes time. Sometimes a long time. Sometimes it doesn't happen at all. So what can you do? You can communicate clearly without attacking. Instead of saying, "You never apologize," you can say, "When this happens, I feel hurt." That keeps the focus on your experience instead of their character. You can observe how they respond, whether they show any effort to understand, even if it's small. But at the same time, you also have to protect your own emotional space. Because constantly waiting for someone to acknowledge your feelings can become exhausting. At some point, you have to ask yourself a simple question. Not just why they don't apologize, but what you are willing to accept. Because understanding someone's behavior doesn't mean you have to tolerate it endlessly. You can understand where it comes from and still decide that you need something different. And once you reach that clarity, something changes. You stop chasing apologies. You stop trying to explain yourself again and again. You start focusing on what feels right for you. And that shift makes a bigger difference than any apology ever could. If this made you think about someone in your life, or maybe even about yourself, take a moment and reflect on it. And if you want more conversations like this, simple and real, you can stay connected here.